I want to talk about how to do B2B marketing on social media, specifically the 5 calls to action you want to be using 80% of the time. If you've been around the Bold House world any length of time, you've probably heard me talk about the fact that content isn't king, content is a commodity. Don't get me wrong, you need to have content marketing as a part of your business development client acquisition strategy. It's just not the whole story, especially when you're a consultant, coach, services provider, expert that is selling to organizations. You're working with B2B clients. It's not about followers and likes and subscribers. Your content needs to lead to deeper ways of engaging with you so that decision makers can build a relationship, build rapport with you, understand the expertise that you can bring to their organization, the problems that you can solve for them, and then ultimately get to that one-to-one conversation. Because you're not in e-commerce. You're not selling things on a website for $400, $500, $600 or even $1,000. The types of investments that decision makers are going to make with you and your firm are in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and for some of our clients, over 7 figures in investment, which, by the way, that financial investment pales in comparison to the cost of the investment of their people and all of those salaries that end up getting involved in the project. If you're going into a company, let's say doing a year-long leadership program that's pulling 100 leaders out of their day job 1 day a month times 12 months, that is a significant investment as well, in addition to the hundreds of thousands of dollars that they might be spending with your leadership development firm. So it's not about likes, it's not about followers, it's not about just publishing every single day. It's about being seen, but being seen in a strategic way that's going to further that relationship. And that comes down, in many cases, to the calls to action that you're utilizing on social media. So here are 5 of my favorite calls to action if you're an expert selling to organizations and you're on social media. The first call to action is for them to attend a live webinar. One of the things that we teach our clients how to do in the Bold House Collective is to do this well. We call them executive forums because they're very interactive. But how do you host something? You pull those decision makers in. You have your stage that you control the audience, you control the timing, the length, the content, you control everything, including, by the way, the insights that you gather from the leaders who are attending. So using social media content in order to drive people to a live webinar, an executive roundtable with you, some way of engaging, very smart thing to do. Number 2 is to book one-to-one executive briefings, an opportunity for leaders to learn from you or you and your team privately. You know, we have clients inside the Bold House Collective that have commissioned their firm's own proprietary market research. So they have executive summaries of this research. That data is killer for other decision makers. And then that research, just as one example, becomes the basis for one-to-one executive briefings, where they're able to hop from decision maker to decision maker in private meetings where they walk them through their industry findings that are super valuable to those decision makers. Another great call to action is to attend your upcoming speaking engagement. Even if decision makers won't all be at that conference, using that as a call to action opens the door to more speaking invitations for you to go to other conferences. You can even offer to do an encore of that speaking engagement for organizations over Zoom. So let's say you're speaking at a conference in the next 30 days, you post about it on LinkedIn. You can say, for those leaders who won't be there but would love to have this session for them and their team, we could do that for you over Zoom. People say to me, Angelique, am I going to charge for that? And that is like an H to the no. big time, because this is you getting a private audience with a decision maker and their team over Zoom for 45, 50, 60 minutes. And remember, whenever you're speaking at a conference, that's a business development talk. That's not you giving away your expertise that you would normally sell. That's not an employee workshop, right? That's a business development talk. We are really, really great at Bold House at teaching people how to go out and speak in the B2B world and actually get clients out of it. Most people are using an entirely wrong type of speaking when they go to conferences, and the audience always loves it, and then no one buys anything. And that's because there's a very specific type of talk that you have to use if you're speaking to discerning decision makers at a conference and you're an expert-based business owner. So we teach people how to do that. The next great call to action is to invite them to connect with you on site somewhere that you will be. Perhaps you are exhibiting at a conference, you're speaking at a conference, or you're just attending the conference. A great call to action is, let me know if you'll be there. We'll connect for a one-to-one meeting when we're on site. We had a client a couple of years ago, after we helped them build their capabilities briefing the right way, they went out, they went to a conference, they had so many meetings on site at that conference, and they came back to us and they said, Angelique, every single meeting that we had, folks said, this was the most valuable use of my time that I've had at this entire conference. So when you're meeting with decision makers one-on-one, whether privately or at a conference, that you're finding a restaurant or a corner or somewhere to have that conversation, you want to make sure it's a really high use of their time. And then number 5, access to a custom AI tool. Here's the thing to understand. We have a fantastic free quick start guide. It's called How to Build a $1 Million+ Boutique Firm. You can get it at wincorporateclients.com. It's free. But I'll tell you something, as great as that free quick start guide is, at some point in the next year or so, I'm going to take it down because it won't have as much value because of all of these AI tools that are out there. Whereas we'll likely switch to offering some complimentary AI tool that folks can download or access through ChatGPT. Why? Because information, people are just going to go and ask the question to ChatGPT shortly instead of coming here listening to me say what I'm saying right now. Whereas an AI tool that gives decision makers something that they can make use of every week or every other week is going to be something they go back to. It's going to have a lot more shelf life than just free PDF downloads. If you do build a custom AI tool that folks can access and engage with, you want to make sure it's branded and you want to make sure it helps them do something that they are doing on a regular basis. Don't build a custom AI tool as sort of a free engagement tool if it's only something they'll use once and then never need again. So for example, you don't want to build a custom AI tool for engagement purposes that helps them write an annual report because they'll use it once a year. You would want them to have a tool that they would refer to at the end of every month to do a monthly recap against their annual plan, just as an example. So these are 5 great calls to action to really get engagement with B2B decision makers and take all of that content that you're publishing online, whether those are LinkedIn articles or those are posts on LinkedIn or posts on Threads or YouTube videos that have descriptions below them. Those are all excellent calls to action. Now, something else you want to take a look at with social media as well is using it to provide social proof of all of the great work that you are doing with clients. When decision makers see that you are busy, when they see that you're doing all of this great work with other organizations, it gives them a bit of FOMO. This is one of those psychological levers of influence that you can utilize really well in social media. So you want to make sure, hey, I'm going to put, 15, 20 minutes every single day into LinkedIn. Okay, great. But in addition to using those great calls to action, you want to make sure those posts incorporate social social proof. Things like photos of you in action, speaking at conferences, working with clients, videos of you in action, working with your clients, hosting events. You want to share things like aggregated client data. You would never, ever share data from one client in isolation. That, of course, would break all sorts of confidentiality. But let's say you've been working with clients for 3, 4, 5 years. Have you ever gone back over all of your clients to look at all of the data that you've amassed through that client work and pulled out statistics based on the combined data, the combined intelligence that you've amassed over those 3, 5, 10, 15 years? You can use social media to recount a client exchange, a conversation that you had with a client. No spoilers as to what that client, who that client might be. Obviously, no identifying factors that would throw them out to the wolves, but you can certainly mention that you were having a conversation with a decision maker who was asking you XYZ questions, who was lamenting about a challenge or problem in their organization, or reflecting on the transformation that their organization has experienced in working with you. Pulling that into social media content, seeding in that way, super powerful thing to do. Case studies, case studies, case studies. If you are not regularly publishing case studies, that's a huge missed opportunity, even if you can't mention the client by name. Client win announcements, mentioning that an organization, for those of you in our Bold House Collective, don't forget we give you a template for that, but you can utilize those win announcements, the fact that another client has engaged you, as social proof to others in the industry, and highlights about your team. Even if your team are independent contractors, bench, at Bold House we call them bench members, you want to highlight who's on your team. You want to highlight the amazing things that your team is doing, because that too gives you social proof for the robustness of your firm, the level of expertise, and the bandwidth that you are bringing to your client. So photos, videos, aggregated client data, recounting a client exchange, case studies, client win announcements, team highlights, those need to get baked in. There really should not be anything you're doing on social media that doesn't leverage one of those things or isn't utilizing one of the 5 calls to action. So that gives you 12 different things to incorporate into your social media that's going to elevate you over so much of the noise that is out there today. So now you have 12 things to incorporate into your social media content if you want it to have a greater impact with B2B decision makers. Now we're going to turn to a related topic. I've dropped a link for you in the description right below for the video, how a content lead approach improves B2B marketing. We take this conversation a lot further there to help you be successful in the content marketing space when it comes to really penetrating into those high-paying B2B clients. So click on that now and we will pick up there next.